Hello, my name is Alessandrina and I live in Sedona, Arizona. I've been involved with WSS now for about 2 years, almost 2 years, on the Women's Empowerment team and also the workshop development team. And I wanted to talk a little bit about women's empowerment and how being part of that team has changed my life, has changed the way that I relate to myself and to others, to myself as a woman, to myself as a mother, as a sister, as a wife, as a being, a soul. And it's changed my relationship for the better, allowing for ego dynamics that used to be challenging, bring about conflict or misunderstandings, judgments, feelings of abandonment, of not being good enough, not being enough, failure. So working with that through the work of women's empowerment, really realizing how much when we empower ourselves as women, as being, as we are in this body, just the opportunity that arises from doing that in terms of how we move into the world, what we do in the world, how we can love more, love better, love from our hearts and our souls rather than our ego. So being part of this team has really been so supportive, so growth producing. We meet weekly and we talk and we've built a space of trust with each other where we feel completely comfortable talking about ourselves, about our ego dynamics, about our pain, our fears, our discomfort in life, our insecurities, and also reflect back also the way that we feel in our relationships, not just with our partners, with our mothers, our family members, our friends. And so it's really a sacred space, a beautiful, nurturing, loving, gentle, intelligent, wise space that we hold for each other. It's not that anyone in the team is facilitating anyone else. It's more that we come in space together and we share of what's weighing on our hearts. We share about what's bringing us pain and suffering and different negative thoughts or emotions, and then we get mirrors. We get the most loving, caring, compassionate mirrors. We intend to do that for each other. We may not always achieve that. We may have ego come in the way, and we really intend to hold space for each other and to be a clear mirror, a sounding board to what we're experiencing in this life so that we can empower ourselves, right? Women's empowerment is about empowering ourselves to have perspectives, understandings, ways of looking at things and also of responding to things rather than reacting to things. That is going to bring us more joy, more peace, more love, more harmony. So we're empowering each other to live a life of joy and creativity and well-being and nurturing and being in that space with women who have that intention to really be clear mirrors and to also be nurturing and loving and this motherly energy throughout the whole process and the meetings. And it's so healing. There's such a healing power that comes from that vulnerability, that process of accountability that we all choose and intend. And that process of reflecting and intending to understand ourselves better, to understand others better, to empower our relationships to be more harmonious, more loving, more filled with compassion and forgiveness and kindness. So we're learning all of that in that space, and learning to be vulnerable and not to come from our egos, and not to try to look or be a certain way or be perceived a certain way, really allowing ourselves to be so vulnerable that we show up as we are, as we feel, with the pain and the misunderstandings or the obscurations that we have as embodied souls, having a human experience, and it's so beautiful. It's been such a loving space, and I look forward every week when we meet. I look forward to those conversations and the depth with which we dive into those different challenges that we experience in life and how to resolve them from heart. And of course, we're doing that because we also understand that this is important in the world right now, to have that space, to hold that space for women and also for men. And right now within this team, we're doing it for women so that the women of the world can heal, they can resolve their suffering, they can re-understand themselves in the context of life and relationship, and how they can really cultivate and emanate the beautiful qualities of the feminine and have a place in the world. And that nurturing, loving, compassionate, caring energy that tends to be feminine in many ways. As mothers, it's something that we cultivate so that we can keep our babies alive and well and developing optimally. And so to understand that those qualities are important in the world, and actually in the context of resolution of climate change, if the choices we're making are more based upon tunnel vision on certain outcomes and goals and achieving certain things a certain way and competing and maybe building the ego, not to say that that's masculine qualities, simply to say that bringing more feminine energies also into that process of life and how we are living our lives on the planet, that doing that is very helpful. That bringing the nurturing, the love, the kindness, the compassion, the patience, the motherly energy is it can really help. It can really help us to rebalance things and to reharmonize the world, to care for nature, to care for one another, to not be in positions of competition with each other, and really come together to make the world a better place, to really empower ourselves to live a life that is actually that has less pain, less suffering, because we're really honoring our feelings, our emotions, our intentions, and our capacity to come together and to collaborate together to make the process of life more beautiful, wholesome for ourselves and for all future generations. So that's our commitment on that team as women, for all the women in the world and for all the men and all the children in the world, and all the sentient beings, all the animals, and the whole of nature that is so beautiful and so lovingly caring for us and nurturing us and providing for us, while we don't necessarily have the capacity to recognize that and to nurture that and to be respectful of that and loving towards all that we receive, and grateful for it. Grateful to, again, to be within WSS and on the Women's Empowerment team. And thank you for listening.